Well, I reckon we're back for more live action for Ponds Forge for the 1500 freestyle. 4 heats of it, and as with the 800 yesterday, we're going to have the mixed all the way through. Chances are we might have a men only last heat, or depending whether Amber Keegan swims. She didn't swim this morning, so if she doesn't swim tonight, we'll have an all male heat number 4, but the other 3 will be mixed. Waiting for 2:15 to roll around. We can start a couple of minutes away. Not sure they're going to stick to that totally. The swimmers are ready to go. I think we can probably give them a bit of leeway on this. It was supposed to be 2 o'clock, as you know, and delayed back to 2:15, but they're ready to go. Officials are ready to go. We're ready to go. That's your lineup. Everybody seems to be here. Okay, there's the referee's whistle. So we can get ready. I'll give you the running order, give you the lineup when we get underway. It's on your screen there, but I'll just flesh out a few more details for you once we get underway. So 30 lengths of the Ponds Forge pool, 4 heats of the 1500 meters freestyle, and in both heat 1 and 2, looking at everybody born after the year 2001. 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005 represented in this. Times, though, are quite similar. Fastest in the field on paper would appear to be Harrison Lee. So let's go through, give you the male lineup first, and we'll break it into genders. James Buckton Graham, North Tyneside in 1. Harrison Lee will go in 4, is going in 4 for City of Wakefield. Lewis Baker, City of Sheffield in 5, and William Moore of South Tyneside in 7. Those are the men taking part. We have 3 women. Millie Fenton, Tynemouth in 2, Evie Barber of Grimsby in 3, and Alice Day of Darlington in 6. So we'll try and do our best to separate the races out for you. Just 1, 2, and 3 likely to be male, although that's not the case at the moment. Lewis Baker, leading from William Moore and from Evie Barber. Just looking at their relative entry times here. 18:30 for Harrison Lee of Wakefield, 2004 born, so 14 this year. 18:31 for Lewis Baker. So the clubs represented here, quite a few from the northeast part of our region, North Tyneside, Teignmouth and Darlington, and South Tyneside as well. From the Leeds and Humberside area, Grimsby, City of Wakefield and City of Sheffield. It's actually only this time last year I think I found out that there was a city status for Wakefield, but they're very proud of that. They were very keen to tell me that last year as well. But City of Wakefield, Harrison Lee is in 4. Now, so looking at the relative ages of all our swimmers here, they should all be hoping to knock some time off this, because they don't get to swim 1500 all that often at competitive levels. So they don't get to do the 1500 very often at a pool of this caliber. Now, I still maintain that this is the best pool in the country. London may claim that the Olympic pool is better, but I still think the records prove that men of really quick times, personal best set in Ponds Forge, sets it apart from quite a few other pools. I think a lot of people in Europe think this is still one of the best pools in swimming. So if kind of work on the basis if you can't swim well here, you can't swim well anywhere. That's why the trial Sheffield, not always been in Sheffield, sometimes in Glasgow and Aussie London around the Olympic time, but Sheffield has played host to the trials most often over the last 25 years. There is a reason for that. Depth of water, 2 meters this end, but 3 meters at its depth. Yes, it's 2 meters to 3 meters, which not getting too technical because it has to be explained to me as well. It means that the ripples and the effect go down to the bottom and come back up much more slowly. Depth of water being the more it is, then the reverberations, the water coming back up through the surface takes a lot longer, which aids the stroke rate and everything else. So, here you go. Probably made a bit of a pixie of that, but you know what I mean. Depth of the water is important. It's a crucial, important factor, a part of swimmers swimming well and swimming at their best, their optimum, in a pool like this. So where are we at? Well, we will be 1100 to go when they return to this end of the pool in the 1500s. If you have just joined us, it is a mixed race. James Buckton Graham, North Tyneside. Millie Fenton of Tynemouth, Evie Barber of Grimsby, Harrison Lee, City of Wakefield, Lewis Baker of City of Sheffield, Alice Day of William Moore. The problem is that this time of the afternoon, after all the heats are done, a lot of people have gone away to have some lunch, so very quiet in here. We'll be having to pretty much, you can probably hear the coach's instructions pretty clearly here because there's very little poolside noise. There will be a lot more when the evening session starts at 4 o'clock, but at the moment you have to plough your own furrow and do your own thing, which Lewis Baker is doing. And Lewis Baker, in terms of time, has an 18:31. I'm not quite sure what the shoving coaching team is looking for him to achieve here, but certainly a personal best will be good. And so it's a pool he knows very well, trains here every day. A chance for the likes of James Buckton Graham, North Tyneside, who won't train a 50-metre pool, nor William Moore, a South Tyneside, to get the wider surroundings of a 50-metre pool. So in the men's race, Lewis Baker leading. Evie Barber, however, is second. So I did think the top 3 positions might all be male, but it's not the case because Evie Barber in lane 3 is currently second, but I think she might be shortly overhauled by the swimmer in either 7 or possibly leader. Pretty clear, though it's still early stages. 1,000 metres to go next time they come back down this end of the pool. In fact, that was the 20, that is the 1,000 metre mark, that's the 500. Water adjusted. And away they swim to the far end, down towards the diving pool. As this will be very familiar surroundings for the 14-year-old as he is this year, Lewis Baker of City of Sheffield. 1,500 metre swimmers are, I think, a strange breed. It's a very punishing schedule. There is no shortcuts in 1,500 or indeed in open water. Sprinters can get away with maybe cutting their weekly training sessions down a bit. If you're not doing 1,500 with maybe 70k, 80k a week a peak, then the rest of the world is. You're going to fall behind. That's what these youngsters, if they're looking to pursue a career long-term in swimming, they're going to have to do week in, week out, with very little rest in between. Mr. David Davis did that. Graham Smith did that. Ian Wilson from Leeds years ago. All had to do. That's why they got to Commonwealth Games. Jay Elliott, who swims for City of Sheffield, has now dropped the 1,500 from his programme. Does the 8, does the 4. We saw him do the 2. We'll see him do 2 later on today in the final. So that's especially with the 800 coming in as it is for the Tokyo programme, the Olympics in 2020. Time to realign and reassess what to do. And 800 is much more comfortable distance for a lot of people, but there'll be a lot of 1,500 swimmers coming down to 8 and quite a few 400s going up to 8 in a couple of years' time. It's to see how that balances out. As well as this race is balancing out, still the same leader as it has been from early stages and still maintaining quite an advantage over the rest of the field. Lewis Baker of City of Sheffield will be, I'm sure, aware going to be given the 16 marker. 800 metres to go, so next time he turns, he will be halfway. 750 to go, but there is a presence looming. A couple of lanes up. That's William Moore, South Tyneside, who on paper is actually about 12 seconds behind our leader, but let's say because the age group they are, they will be dropping quite a bit of time on 1500, and quite rapidly too, so I'm not sure that's much of an indication. Get an idea where Lewis Baker is at 800, which is where he'll be next time. $700 to go when he turns, so okay, kind of just over halfway split for our leader. Evie Barber, by the way, just dropped back into 4th place, leading the women's race. Evie Barber, Alice Day and Millie Fenton, all involved in the women's event. Quite tight between 1 and 2 here. Let's see what the split is for our leader. 9:39. 96. About 3 seconds and about 4 seconds back to 3rd. But I think visibly I can see William Moore moving. So I've decided this is the stage to make a move. A lot of swimmers do it about the 1,000 metre mark. He's doing it a little bit earlier than that. Lewis Baker will be aware. There's a big presence a couple of lanes away. The gap will be nowhere near as big. We'll measure it here. So it is about 2 seconds. 2.14 is the gap at the moment, but I don't think it'll be that when they come back down this end. It seems to be just closing a bit. Also be aware Harrison Lee, City of Wakefield's really coming into the fray now. And starting to catch the top 2. Never way back yet. Also in lane 1, James Buckton Graham moving alongside. So what was the gap there? Yeah, gap was 1.2, so that gap came down by almost a second. In fact, I've got a feeling that William Moore's going to be leading before long. In fact, he may well be leading at the next turn. William Moore seems to be stroking out very comfortably, whereas Lewis Baker's working very hard. See those arms and those legs working. It's a much more comfortable looking stroke anyway from South Tyne swimmer, who has just got to within half a second now, virtually, of our leader. I think he's going to gobble him up before he gets to the far end. 500 it will be when they turn next time. 2/3 gone. He's see himself saving something for the back end, but William Moore will be either on a par or right alongside him. In fact, he might take the lead for the very first time here. 500 to go. William Moore, South Tyneside, far side, will get the touch first. There he goes. Not much between them now, but just over half a second. Now, this could be a strategy from Lewis Baker. I mean, they're built slightly differently, so you can't always make that comparison, but William Moore just looked to be stroking quite comfortably, whereas it's a slightly more frenetic action from our leader, as was Lewis Baker. In fact, as you can see, William Moore is now moving further and further away. Gap will be much bigger, 1.4, and extending. So I just wanted to see if there's anybody lurking behind, but I still think there's something in the tank for Lewis Baker. I don't think he's going to keep falling further and further behind, but he's just not able to respond to the kick from William Moore. But then again, nobody else behind. Our top 2 are getting particularly close. James Buckton Graham, he and Harrison Lee having their own little battle in 3rd place. But now there's a couple of body lengths advantage for our leader. So he entered on at 18.42. 13.20, near 400 to go. Well, let's see if we get a time on his next 100. See where he might be aiming. Certainly quicker than 1842. Remember, he's the second slowest on paper in this field, but that's not going to be how this race plays out. 1842, 34 for the 16-year-old as he is this year. Would seem to have, to me, all the makings of a 1500 freestyler in terms of build. You need to be that kind of shape, that kind of build for a 1500 meters freestyle. There's very few who are built like sprinters, are all built to endure 30 lengths. He's got a really nice stroke, and the legs are doing what they need to do without overly kicking. Just getting quite a bit out of those legs as well, which Lewis Baker's not quite as much, more of a kind of flutter kick going on behind. There's the lead. It's up to 4.03 now for our leader, so I think he's away and clear. But nobody's really putting pressure on Lewis Baker for second. That's the only thing. I'm sure he'd quite like somebody alongside him, but he's going quickly enough that Harrison Lee and James Buckton Graham are getting a look in for second place. I was going to get a measure of the 100, wasn't I? But next time they come back, it'll be 200 to go. Try and give a little estimate of where we think he might end up time-wise. I think wouldn't be too rash a statement to say that he's definitely going to break his personal best by quite a bit. The question is how much. Get 10, maybe 20 seconds, possibly. He'll estimate that better when he finishes here. 200 to go when he turns this time. That gap is extending with every 50. So where are we at? 15:45. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, 15:45. Right. So, oh, you know, he could get around the 18-minute mark here. This would be a huge leap down. It seems a lot, though. Just to do a few calculations. 18:42. If he's going to knock 42 seconds off his personal best, I think that sounds a lot. But so at this age, that's what people do. They do, especially in the 1500, knock massive amounts off. And the way he's controlling this race, and the way he's pulled away, leads me to believe. So what's that? It's the 35, 70, 16:55. I think we're potentially looking at maybe an 18:05, 18:10, which would be good if I can bring it back. Lewis Baker's not finding anything at the back end of his race. I think we're going to find Mitty Fenton being lapped in just a moment. There's the whistle. So I'll just say 18:05, I reckon. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, and so that will compare with 18:42. Not downplaying Lewis Baker either, who may well be in for a personal best of his own. Should be in for a personal best of his own here. Evie Barber still comfortably winning the women's race. Right, 50 to go for our leader. 17:31. Well, he's not going to break 18 minutes, but I think 18:05, 18:10 will not be bad. 18:10 more likely, I think. There he is, finishing off. Yeah, probably could be. So 18:10 might be a bit ambitious. 18:15. Well, no, 18:10's not far out. Come on, 18:10. Go and do it for me. 18:09. Sorry, 18:08. Better than I had anticipated. It was on the car side of caution there. 18:08.73 for our winner, which is a full 24 seconds better than he has been before. Second placed to Lewis Baker. 18:19. Well, that is 12 seconds better than his entry time. There was James Buckton Graham, who again has gone 21 seconds better. 18:25 compared to an 18:46. So as we say, this time in their progression, youngsters making big drop downs. That's what we've seen there. Leader of the women's race in the end was Evie Barber, finishing in 18:47.44. She has been quicker. But top three with notable and sizable PBs. On to the second heat, again mixed of the men's and women's 1500 meters freestyle. Winning time in that last heat, 18:08.73. Well, we're into the 17 minuters here. There's a couple of done 17:51, 17:52. Mostly 18 minutes though for the rest of the crowd in here. Just looking for the was really going for early stages, not always the best option, but maybe it suits Johnson Back, who's going for broke even at this early stage in lane 9. I'll give you the full lineup because we have a full contingent across the pool who need to be named. I shall do that for you. Lucy Woodliff of Grimsby in 0. Rowan Kappelman of Richmond Dale in 1. William Baines of Borough Stockton 2. Patrick Shimin, Newcastle in 3. Abigail Miles, City of Sheffield, goes in lane 4. 5 is Jamie Broom, the City of Leeds, also from the same club is Harry Milner in 6. 7 is Jude Blackmore of Billingham. Then 2 Darlington swimmers on the outside. I already mentioned Johnson Back. The 2003 born is really going for this in a big way. Now, this is coach's instructions or the way he feels on the day, but he's given it a good old crack. And Daniel Bowyer is the other Darlington. Let's see whether our early leader is holding on to that pace. Well, he's back in 4th now. At the moment, we have our female swimmers. Lucy Woodliff at the front. She's 2003 born, and again, as I mentioned earlier on, in terms of distance freestylers for both men and women, we need some more women in particular, with the absence of Jazz Carlin, who's opted to go for open water now. So with the 1500s in the program in Tokyo, she probably won't be doing it. William Baines, our leader for the men, then Patrick Shimin, then Johnson Back. There's time. Quickest on paper is one of our female swimmers, Abigail Miles, but she's not there yet. But this early stage is 1500, of course. You tend to work your way into it. Some people try and break the back of the field, but generally you work your way into it and maybe up the ante a little bit at about 1,000 or 1,100. So Lucy Woodliff continues to lead, albeit marginally, from William Baines. Obviously they're swimming separate races here in terms of time, men's and women's, so I'll try and separate them out for you. But Lucy Woodliff is closest to us. There she is, the blue cap in 0. And looking mighty comfortable. 18:29 is their entry time, so I think we can safely assure ourselves and her and her followers that there's something quite special coming her way if she carries on at this kind of pace. Of course, it's a big if, because it's still early stages yet. There's still 1,200 meters to go, so at this stage. But they are starting to come back to her, as you might imagine. As with slightly faster entry times. It's 4 in the line, pretty much behind her. They're not too far behind her now. Lane 2, William Baines with an 18.07 to his name, is now in the lead. Lucy, and then Patrick Shimin, who is entered on 17.58. Jamie Broome of Leeds, 17.52. Harry Milner, 17.59. So 3 in this field, including Abigail Miles, who is way back at the moment, about 6th place. And she has a time of 17.51. Early days, 1100 still to go, 400 completed. 4:37, 400. For our leader. The leader being William Baines of Stockton. And he is actually the youngest in the field. 2005 he was born. So exciting prospect here if he can knock a sizable chunk of time off his personal best, because he's 12 this year. I'm sure he's he must have turned 12 by now, but certainly in his 12th year. It's an early prospect. Stockton, I'm sure they're very excited about what he can do. Patrick Shimin, just a little bit older, 16 this year, in lane 3. So that's the third of the race done for our leader. So when you dress it up like that, sounds all right, doesn't it? When then you turn the coin on its head and go, well, we've still got 2/3 to go. That's where the enormity of what's going on. That's why I was a little bit surprised that Johnson Back went off quite as quickly as he did, to be honest. Lane number 9. But he may be paying for that a little bit now. Lane 2, nice and smooth. We'll see early stages for him, as much as not even reached his teens yet. Yes, try and make sure that stroke is right, getting the leg kick right, manage to get the pattern of the race right, that you don't exert too much over the first 700 or 800 and have enough in the tank that when you need to make the kick, the appropriate time, it's there. Still very much work in progress at that kind of age, but looks like he's made a lot of progress and he's enjoying life. 2005 born. So he'd been, what, 7 when the London Olympics came to the UK. Still holding on pretty well. 6:58. So he's repping at about 1:11 at the moment, which is all right. Very good for somebody of that age, anyway. We'll see. David Davis made his break in 2002 when he was in his early teens or early-ish teens. So you can make big inroads very quickly here. Yeah, 6:58. We'll see whether he's still repping us. I think he's doing about 1:11 on his 100s here. I think the mark of it is there's nobody really putting any pressure on him. The closest adversary is Patrick Shimin, but he's not that close yet. Might be just edging a bit, so I'm expecting him to be around about 8 minutes. Oh, he's gone over 8, so he's not repping quite as quickly as I thought he was. Or I've got my calculations wrong, which is probably more likely. 8:09, and that turn for William Baines. Patrick Shimin 8:12, so he's 3 seconds adrift. Keep an eye on that, because that's where the only real threat I think is coming from. There's still 800 to go, and there could be others further back. Maybe Jamie Broome in 5. Yes, we're only reaching halfway now. Halfway stage reached. William Baines turns 8:44. Let's see. No, I was right. I was right. 1:11. Yeah. So I'm arguing with myself now, but yeah, 1:11. So he would be back in 9:20-ish. Should be telling about 9:20, 9:21 if he's keeping at that pace, which I think he is. Might be a little bit quicker actually. 9:20. There you are. Knew I wasn't going mad. Wouldn't be the first time. 1:11 repping. Senior level, you're looking to trying to get under a minute, but at his stage of advancement, 1:11's all right. But now Ximin is just, I think, starting to up the ante. This is the time in the race when you start to do it. So he's going to make a charge and try and get onto the legs and the shoulder and beyond of our leader. He's going to have to make it happen fairly soon, you think. When they come back, it'll be 600 to go. So if my calculations are right, our leader should be back in around about 10:30. Should be turning around about 10:30, I think. .10:30.81 is where he is. Gap still doesn't seem to be appreciably smaller to our leader in second place, though I think it's probably marginally slow. Should look at the clock there, but visibly it's not making massive inroads, but it's got plenty of time. That's the thing. When we come back next time, it will be 500 to go. Looks a really strong swimmer, which is a fantastic endorsement at this age for our leader, William Baines. So our game of guess the next split time. I think we'll go for 11:41 maybe. I reckon about 11:41. Game that you can play along with it at home. 11:41 is what I'm reckoning for the next split. Ooh, how close you get. 11:40, 94. So 6 100s out. Now you can see appreciably the gap is closing between our leader and our second place swimmer, and this is where the older swimmer I think is probably going to take advantage here. A little bit more experience. William Baines has done a brilliant job, and it's still going to be a brilliant time, whatever happens. But Patrick Ximin, 3 years older, a bit more experience. Just trying to reel him in. They didn't quite go over together, but the gap is around about a second now. So we'll be looking for about 12. Next turn. And they will be side by side, so in fact for the first time possibly this would be where Patrick Ximin takes over for Newcastle. Yeah, they're facing each other now, so Ximin will get to the wall with 8 to go, just ahead with a 12:52. They slowed down a little bit there, I think. Yeah, 12:52, that was more of a 1:12. But now he's got the open water to himself, and he's going to just up the ante a bit. Will be 300 when they return to this end. Patrick Ximin then, leading now. Fair distance opening up between 1 and 2, need 2.5 seconds. But what I'm liking is the fact that William Baines is not quitting or anything like it, trying to come back at the leader, so you're not allowing the gap to get insurmountable. 300 left. as they turn now. What was that? 14.01. Yeah, kind of back on track again for a 1:11. Well, we are looking at big personal bests here for both. Although Shimon now has decided, all right, go to the legs, off we go. And he's doing just that. Here's a younger opponent in his wake. The gap will be much, much bigger now as they get to the sharp end of the race for the women. Just keep an eye on what's happening there. I think we're still looking at Lucy Woodliff. We are. She's still top of the women in third place. In fact, she's still in the same length as our leaders. 4 to come. 10. So we're looking at 17:20. Well, that's a 17:20. That will be a very, very big personal best for Patrick Shimon. More like a 17:30, I think, but whichever way, it's still going to be a sizable chunk. Now, after all the hard work he's done, don't want William Baines to lose the chance to do a very big PB. I think they're almost certainly going to go under 18, which is a good milestone for him at his age. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't go under 18. So lane 3, Patrick Shimon will hear a very nice... His ears, 2 more to go. Let's see what he splits at here. 16:20. So yeah, probably around about 17:25, maybe. Yes, 17:30, 17. Yeah, 17 between 17:25 and 30. 17:30 is probably more realistic if you can put in a 1:10 here. And he is starting to speed up. So with the gap between him and second place, I think we can also relatively safely assume there will be a sub-18 for William Baines here. He will be, I'm sure, really annoyed if he doesn't manage to get under that 18 barrier after doing all the hard work for 2/3 of the race. Now, can he break 17:30 here? That's what I'm thinking. 17:30 is where he should be aiming. Won't be too far shy. Our winner coming in, Patrick Shimon. Now, come on, 17:30. Well, I'm setting a target of getting underneath. He's going to do it. He has done it. 17:29 for our winner. 17:29 constitutes a 29-second PB. Now, come on, Mr. Baines. Yes, 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 yes. 17:40. Well inside the 18. I'm not sure why I was so worried about that. Beating his personal best by 27. So you got a 29 and a 27-second PB, which I know is to be expected at this stage of progression, but still, nonetheless, Lucy Woodliff, the winner of the women's event. She's gone sub-18 for the feet. 65. Has Jamie Broome gone sub-18 before? Yes, he has. Not quite as quick today, but massive improvements from the top 3. Patrick Shimon had broken the 18 barrier down to 17:29. And William Baines, remember, 2005 born, so 13 this year, and 17:40.48. Liking that. Not quite completed yet, because we always see Rowan Kappelman finish things off. Not quite his day today. So It happens to swimmers where just don't quite feel it, don't feel it in the water. What's your entry time? I'll be 18:14. You can look up at the clock and go 19:12. Not quite what I had in mind. But he finished, hanging on to the lane rope. But he's there. Right, on to heat number 3, 1500 freestyle, men's and women's once again. We have 6 women, 3 men. Was it 4 men? 4, because we've got all the lanes occupied. So 10 swimmers, 6 women, 4 men in this. And this is your lineup. Makes me feel not quite so old. We've got a couple of 1999 borns here, but still only 19 this year. Rachel Bradley, Middlesbrough, 0. Lucy Headley of Tynemouth in 1. Daisy Hill, Kingston upon Hull in 2. James Lund of City of Bradford goes in 3. Ben Gilchrist, Durham City in 4. Mason Bland, Kingston upon Hull in 5. Cade Darby, Middlesbrough 6. Safira Gabani, who trains in this pool, Bonds Forge, City of Sheffield, goes in 7. Ella Took of Tynemouth in 8. And Adam Akram, Doncaster Darts in 9. So again, mixed 1500. Lucy Woodliff did a really good job on the last one amongst the men to post a sub 18 time. Well, this lot we're looking at. There's a possibility here, definitely, we could get a sub 17. Ben Gilchrist with a 17:19 entry time. Mason Bland with a 17:20. Mason Bland is 14 this year. Ben is 17. And there's a couple on the 17:32. 17:24 for James Lund. He's been around just a little bit longer. 19 in 2018. But, yeah, I'm just wondering how many we might potentially see under 17 here. We'll get 1, maybe get 2, which would be good. Get down to the high 16s. So 1300 to go on the turn here. Early leader, Ben Gilchrist, was one of the swimmers I was talking about from Durham City. 17:19.56 his entry time. A couple up from him. Cade Darby of Middlesbrough. And to his right-hand side as he swims down that side of the pool is James Lund of City of Bradford. As we saw in the last one, pacemaker was William Baines and Patrick Schumann took over at about 1100. Will it be the same thing here? Really quite spread. Age range on this one, say from 99 up to 2004. A couple of 2004 birthdays. Lucy Headley of Tynemouth, 2004. Mason Bland, 2004. Ella Took as well, born 14 years ago. Our leader, still our leader. Not a massive lead though for Ben Gilchrist. I think Cade Darby is starting to eat into that a little bit. 2.5 seconds between them. Yeah, the mindset of a 1500 swimmer. Because these days, a lot of swimmers are quite tempted to do open water. You need to be big, strong, and better use your elbows. You can do open water. If you're a bit frail, then probably open water is not for you, because it can be a little bit like water polo. It does get a little bit physical at times, especially when they go around the boys and just trying to get their little piece of the water to themselves. But a lot more 1500 swimmers now being encouraged to try open water. A lot of people starting 1500 now doing just open water, not doing 1500 very often. They do it as a training regime, but not in competition. Well, Ben Gilchrist is holding on, but the challenge is actually coming from James Lund now. to his left-hand side. He's right on his feet. In fact, by the time they get back down the other end, he might be right alongside him. It's almost on his trunks so far as he moved up. Chris from Durham City. All looking quite smooth and quite in control at this stage. Just kind of waiting for James Lund to make a bit of a move there, but probably a bit too early. Just biding his time. It will be 1,000 meters to go when they come back, so they'll have notched off a third of the race when they return to this end. What's the gap? Gap is about a second. Second between our top two. It's to the second between our leader and our second place, and so there's a bit of a concertina effect now, because also coming into the frame, not mentioned so far, is Mason Bland. Mason Von Hull. Top four are not separated by much. 5:50, 5:42, 5:45. So top three only separated by 3 seconds, which a third of the way into the race is nothing. So again, our winner is a very difficult one to call. It's an impossible one to call at this stage, because this race is going to change quite a bit in complexion in the next 1,000 meters. Our leader is still just in front, Ben Gilchrist, but it's marginal. Was a second. It's not him in front anymore. James Lund has just turned over quicker by about 1/10 of a second. So Lund from Gilchrist, from Derby, from Mason Bland. That's the front of the men's race. As far as the women are concerned, I think it's is it Rachel Bradley? Just wait for him to turn again this end, I'll be able to tell you. But top four separated by about, I'd say, 2 to 3 body lengths, no more. Daisy Hill actually is the best of the women in lane number 2. But this is very, very tight and very, very competitive between lanes 3, 4, 5 and 6. They're going to be pretty much all in a line when they turn next time. I can see there being nothing between the top 4 when they turn over next time. When they hit the wall, what is there going to be between the top 4? I'd say pretty much nothing. 7:27, 7:29, 7:29, 7:30. So about 2.5 seconds. There you go. 7:27 down to 7:30, and there's a bit of a gap to our next swimmer, who is the top female in Daisy Hill. The men, well, who's going to take this one by the scruff of the neck? James Lund, possibly. He's just getting himself in front, but it's not a winnable lead by any stages of the imagination. 800 meters to go, and there's 4 looking for the victory, and 4 are capable of getting the victory as well, because they've been dropped. One goes to the front, the second. But every time you think a pattern's starting to emerge, they'll come back to each other. Kind of a magnetic attraction as the 4 congregate. But looking at the very strong move here, very strong move by Mason Bland in 5. Now he's going to get to the front, right there, and there is only a third of a second between them. Now, if I was going to make a call, which is a fairly invidious thing to do with 700 to go when they turn next time, I'd say Mason Bland looks to be able to turn it on when he feels like it, and just put in a bit of a burst of speed there to come right alongside our leader. And I would say, if anything, the body language of our now leader, Mason Bland, looks a little bit better than anybody else in the field. He'll take over at this stage, massive margin over James Lund as yet, but this might be time to move as we get over halfway. Normally the decisive move comes probably about 200 meters time, 250 maybe, but he's taking it out nice and early and saying, right, you lot respond. I'm going to put in a kick here and see whether any of you are able to get the response that you need. Try and catch me. So gap is now opening up considerably between our leader and second place James Lund. Kate Darby in third. 4 is Ben Gilchrist. Daisy Hill is still our leading female, turning now in just over 10 minutes. Lucy Headley behind her. Sphira Gabani in third place in the women's race. And that's how it looks. 600 to go. And showing all the indications of being a potential winner here. This is Mason Bland. Entered in a 17:20. So we will start to, when he comes back down this end again, start doing a little comparisons and see what he might be able to achieve in this race. But also they're split wide open, aren't they? 1, 2, 3 and 4. Well, 2 and 3 are very close together, but then slightly dropping back off the pace is Ben Gilchrist, who's set the early pace. The Pal's race belonged to him, but race is now very much belonging to Mason Bland. So when they come down this end, we'll have 500 to go. We can start doing a few little calculations of where he might eventually turn up in terms of time. So be ready to respond. Is a sudden acceleration from anybody. It's actually coming from Cade Darby in 6. Just looking like he's making a few advances, though he's still quite a way back. Right, it's a split time for our leader. 11:31. 58. Let's see what he's repping. I imagine it will be quicker than the previous one, probably maybe 109, 110. Certainly disappearing from view as far as the others are concerned. They're not going to make up that kind of ground unless that's what the sailors call catch a crab, because he seems to be long gone. It's going to be very hard to reel him in from here. Coming back while the others are turning. So we're 11:31 is what we were talking about for his last marker, with 500 to go. It'll be 400 when he turns this time. And James Lund not giving up. Gap is not getting appreciably bigger, but nobody really putting in a burst. So 11:31 we turned last time. Yeah, it's a 110. Yeah. 14:41. So, yeah, he's repping at 90 seconds, 70 seconds rather, 70 seconds per 100. So, with 6 to go when they come back down this end. $300. The lead is ever increasing. Looking great from a Mason Bland and supporters' point of view, and those who swim at the Kingston upon Hull team. The Pride of Your 1500 troop is doing the job for you, and nobody is appreciably getting any closer. Lead is staying at relatively the same. Gap, the battle for second though is quite interesting, because James Lund is second at the moment, but Cade Darby doesn't want it to stay that way for very long. So our leader on his way back. 13:51. Yeah, absolutely spot on. 110 per 100. 51. I think we can work out 3 110s is what, 330, 17:20. Well, that is actually his. No, I think he'll beat that. That is his entry time. I think he'll beat that, because I think he'll put a bit of a spurt in towards the end, because he's on course for around about his entry time of 17:20, which I don't think he'll be very happy with. I think it's a good example of place and event, an occasion to go and eat into that time. But he might be in danger of not doing it. He's not careful here. Be around about 15:02 here, 15:01, 15:02, 15:01:37. Yeah, it's going to be very close. It could be very close to his personal best. I think he'll put in a little bit of a burst at the end. Get down to 105, 106 maybe, if he can do that. And then that personal best will have gone, but he's right on the cusp of it at the moment. The other three behind him are now virtually in a line, as there was a stage when all four were in a line. Well, three of them have come back to each other again. And Ben Gilchrist, who was our early leader, has found something at the back end of the race to take over second place from Cade Darby. James Lund, who was second for quite a long time, is back in fourth, but nothing really between 2, 3 and 4. And maybe they will start to catch our leader. I think they've given themselves a bit too much to do to overhaul our leader, however. Mason Bland comes in for his last 100. 16:11. Do you know what? He's really going to have to go to beat that personal best. 17:20. He's going to be right there. This will be agonising for him if he doesn't beat his personal best. I think everybody else is going to, or get pretty close to it anyway. Ben Gilchrist into 17:19. I don't think he's not going to beat his personal best at all. Now 50 to go. 16:45. Oh, it's going to be touch and go. This is going to be touch and go whether he can beat his best. 17:20.60 for Mason Bland. I'm wishing him well, but I'm watching that clock tick round. I'm thinking if it is a personal best, it's going to be a very marginal one. He doesn't want to swim any slower than 17:20, and that's going to be right on 17:20. He might just get inside it, just. Yeah, good. 17:18.40. Not a massive PB, but it is in the right direction. Ben Gilchrist 17:27, so outside his best. James Lund 17:29. Yeah, likewise. 5 seconds shy. Cade Darby entered on 17:32 to 17:29. So he actually does improve on his time, as does our winner. It was a bit of a squeak. 2 seconds PB. But good enough. Good enough. I was a little bit concerned on that last turn that he might find himself in 17:20 territory, but 17:18 it is. So the penultimate heat. Everybody home. Winner of the women's, Lucy Headley, I beg your pardon, 17:44. Daisy Hill with a 17:48. All right, last up then is the 1500 freestyle men's and women's. I'm just checking to see whether Amber Keegan's in, and she's not. So we now have an exclusively male event. No women involved in this one. Joseph Robbins, City of Sunderland, in 0. Benjamin Shipley of Kingston upon Hull in 2. In 2 is Jacob Butterfield of Leeds. 3 is Kieran Thomas of Newcastle. 4, Sam Budd, the City of Sheffield. 5, Adam Wilson, Newcastle. Adam Law, Borough of Kirklees. And Ethan Sutcliffe of Leeds. And Alexander Woods of Grimsby. That's our lineup for the 4th and final heat. Now, in this case, Sam Budson a 15:34. So we are in very different territory here. Now Sam, 20 this year, is one of those who's just knocking on the door of making the international team. He's not far away. You know, you take a drop of 30 seconds, which sounds a lot, but in the 1500 he can do that. We'll keep an eye on his splits and see whether 15:34 could go. Everybody else in the 16 category, or 17 for the outside lanes. So what we're looking at for Sam here, well, we're looking at 62s really, aren't we, for him to get 15:30. So we'll be looking to be around about 2:04, 2:05 at this stage, if he's on schedule for that. It's okay. 2:03 at 200. Keep an eye on those splits for you. See what he's repping. It would have been probably a 62. He's got company, which is good. Somebody pushing him on, Adam Wilson, who has been knocking on the door of 16 minutes. 16:05 is his entry time. I thought he actually had gone sub 16, but his entry time doesn't indicate that. 16:05.61, which I think is his best time, but somewhere looking in the back of my mind, I thought I'd seen Adam go sub 16. Now, to get a personal best, Sam Budd needs to probably start coming back in 62s here, which would mean a 3:05 at the turn, and he's not going to be too shy of that. 3:04, 3:05, 3:06, 3:07, 3:07.22. That means that was a 64. Yeah, it needs just a bit. Second, Adam Wilson. Third place is Jacob Butterfield of Leeds. On the other side of the pool from him, Adam Law in fourth place. There's no female involvement in this one. All male race. So Bud turns. Adam Wilson second. Third is Kieran Thomas, Newcastle. And Jacob Butterfield in fourth. And was Kieran out before. Right, let's see. 64 it was last time for our leader. I hope he's gone up a little bit from there. Not really. 4:11 on 64 for our leader, which means we're not going to see the PB today, I don't think, unless it starts to get into the 62, 63s. A lot of potential in Sam. He's at that age now, 20, where really needs to make the most of his abilities. There's a whole phalanx of 800 and 1500 metres swimmers in this country who are all of a similar standard. Dan Jervis probably the outstanding one at the moment after what he did at the Commonwealth Games. Jane Elliott now not doing the 1500, so there's an opening there for Sam, but he's got to make something of it. The 64s is not really good enough. It'd be enough to get the fastest time here, I think, but he wants more than that. 1,000 to go as he turns now. 15, yeah, again, he's spot on 64 every single 100. Not moving up, not moving down, not moving down to 63, not moving up to 65. He's smack on 64, quite metronomically at the moment. Adam Wilson staying what you might call a respectable distance behind him. And there's a big gap to our next swimmer, which is Kieran Thomas of Newcastle, his teammate. Third place. And then pretty much strung out behind that. So it's going to be a chance of some lapping going on here for our leader. Certainly with Our swimmer in the outside lane, Alexander Woods, as we get further into the race. Now let's see. 5:15, so this should be a 6:19 when he turns this time. If it's another 64. Oh. Might give him a 63 for that one. So Bud, Adam Wilson, Kieran Thomas, and that's not changed. Not changed for a long time. A bit of a gap to Jacob Butterfield, who leads in 4th. Adam Law in 5th. Waiting for the 6th one to come in. And that is Benjamin Shipley. We know who our winner's going to be, which, as we've mentioned a couple of times, is quite tricky because I know Chaz Collins mentioned it to me, and many others about 8 and 1500 metre freestylers have mentioned it to me. It's very tough. Rebecca Adlington be a case in point. When you're swimming against the clock, you don't have any competition. You want somebody to push you, but you just have to push yourself. It's quite tough. 7:22. Yeah. Well, that's 63. So he is coming marginally down in time. I'd love to see him getting down to 62s, though. We thought he could do 62s today and get maybe a 7:30, but... Sorry, 7:30 or 15:30. That would be quick, wouldn't it? They were talking about 800 times here, not 1500 times. I thought maybe 15:30 might be on today, but Sam's not quite in that shape, or not feeling quite there at the moment for that. It'd be a good time, and it'd be a winning time by quite some way, but not quite breaking through that 1500 glass ceiling. So there's another 63 coming, which will be 8:25. Yeah, it's metronomically, oh, actually might be up to 8:26 here. Yeah, it's a 64. So it's quite metronomically, if I can say it, 64 early on. Just increased to a 63. Now back to a 64. But there's no pressure, there's no threat, and all he has to do is make sure he keeps going. The win is assured. Adam Wilson swimming his own race, as indeed is Kieran Thomas. Big gap between 1 and 2, big gap between 2 and 3, big gap between 3 and 4, quite a gap between 4 and 5. Nobody actually having a race at the moment because they're all doing their own thing. Maybe 8:20. Look, so there's 600 to go here. Just doing some calculations. Where are we at here, Sam? 9:31. I can hear a coach saying pick it up. Don't know which coach it is, but I can hear on the pool deck. It's not Sheffield. Another coach is saying pick it up. Because there's a few more filtering back into Bonds Forge. It's fairly quiet in here at the moment, so you can hear coach's instructions. Nothing really coming from the Sheffield, but they're all keeping a very close eye on Sam. Adam Wilson still second place. I think much else is going to change in terms of pecking order here. Right, 500 to go. 2/3 of the race completed. One more to come. 500, that is, for our leader. 10:36. Ooh, we slipped back to a 65. Well, it's hard. It's really hard when you're so far out in front and all you're seeing is other people. So the chance, I'm just trying to work out whether potentially he could lap Alexander Woods on the far side. He's certainly getting much closer. There's probably about 5 meters between them. Obviously, he's on a different lap. But I think there's a chance that Alexander Woods might get gobbled up before the end of this race in terms of being overtaken lap-wise. But it could happen on this 50. In fact, I think it's just happening. Sam Budd in 4, just lapping our swimmer in lane number 9, Alexander Woods. And that was, you have to get it down, but yeah, I think we're looking at .640 for our leader. Will be 300 to go, and they come. Well, he comes back down this end. Nobody else is getting close to coming back for 300 because Adam Wilson's 18 meters behind our leader. So let's say the gap every single 50 is just increasing a little bit. Adam Wilson will be doing his best to try and get a time in around the 16 minutes if he can. I think that might be hard work today. So here's the split: 12:46. For 300 to go. With 364s. So we're looking at 112, aren't we? 15. Yeah, is that 1550? I think 1550, maybe 1550 to 1555. That kind of range for Sam Budd now, which is not a time that's going to get him in the shake-up anywhere. Certainly good enough here, though. Good enough here by a long way. I'm not trying to ride his efforts, but I know Sam wants to move on to the next level, get up there with the likes of Dan Jervis. Well, it's not going to happen with these kind of times, I'm afraid. 13:51. That was a 65. So he will break 16 minutes, most definitely, but how far inside 16? And Wilson still long way back, but swimming his own race. And then let's look a bit further down the pool. Kieran Thomas, 3rd place, 4th place swimmer, on his way back down the pool now. Here's Jacob Butterfield. But it's the most strung out 15 I think I've ever seen, to be honest, because the leader often goes off on his own, but 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, massive gaps between all of them. All of them have got at least 15 meters between the next swimmer. Right, 2 to go in terms of length, so 100 meters for Sam Budd. There's the whistle. Okay, what can you split for us this time? 14:56. He could be struggling to get 16. If he's going to hit 16, there's a couple of 63s, so hopefully there's enough left in the legs, enough left in the tank to come back at the 63, because that's what he's going to have to do to break 16 minutes. Adam Wilson is some 20 meters back, 2nd place, but no danger of him losing 2nd place, or indeed any danger of Kieran Thomas losing 3rd. Now, let's see if we can get Sam Budd under the 16 razor wire. It's going to be mighty tight. It's going to be incredibly tight. He could be right on it. I think he's just going to be underneath it. 15, 59, 38. Oh, how's he feeling about that? Well, he's won it by a country mile. So in terms of winning the race, which is obviously the main objective, he's done that. Adam Wilson 16.13. Second to finish. Third will be Kieran Thomas coming in now in lane 3. Anybody be terribly happy with their time. Thomas 6 seconds outside his best. Wilson was 8 seconds outside the entry time we got for him. And fourth will be Jacob Butterfield coming in 2. Now he's entered in a 16.42 and does a 16.44. So I'm afraid top 4, none of them have done PBs today or even got close to it really. Fifth to come home. Well, Adam Law 16.59. Nope, can't give you a PB there either. 6, Ethan Sutcliffe 17.04. Yes, hooray, we got one. Got one at last. 17.04. It's not massively inside his PB, but it is. So 17.04, new personal best for him. Shipley 17.07. Nope. It's 16.58 before. Joseph Robbins 17.22. 4 seconds outside his PB. And only Alexander Woods to finish, and I don't think he's going to be, but we know he's not going to get anywhere near his personal best. So I think overall, sorry to be a bit downbeat on it, but not quite the 1500 maybe that we'd hoped for, certainly from our leading protagonist, but Dan Budd, and hopefully something to work on for the rest of this year. Right, so we're done for our way for long, about half an hour before we return for the final session, 4 o'clock for all the action in the final session on day 2 of the SENER Open Championship, which will contain the 100 freestyle for women, 200 for men, and plenty more excitement, including relays as well. So join us again in around about 28 minutes for the start of the final session. See you then.